Welcome back to WGNC Garage. We're going to be doing the maintenance on the rear calipers and drum system on the Stagea today. So let's get started. Alright, so now that we've got the car up with the stand and everything, we'll be taking off the tire. Alright. Not too bad of corrosion. See oil. I'm gonna have to clean that up and verify where that oil is coming from. It does not seem to be from the brakes, so that's good. So let's start taking this apart. Let's try a 14. Still a 14 millimeter for the caliper, same as in the front. I wonder what this is. That's probably the emergency brake. Alright, so looks like I'm gonna need a wrench for the bottom. So I will be right back with a wrench. Alright, so we got the 14 millimeter wrench for the bottom. Okay, that was easy. Or not. Looks like there's some corrosion or resistance, at least on the bottom one. Alright, so that's tough. Alright, much thinner on the bottom. So now we'll take the caliper. I'm going to place it here. Brake pads are actually doing pretty good. That's the back one. Ooh. Front one. Alright. Now we're going to take off these clips. This one sits on this end. This one sits on that end. Two clips. Alright, so now rare chance, but oh, it does work. So it is a 17 millimeter. Guess I got lucky with that. So now, once I get this caliper bracket off and I pull the rotor off, I will be back. Alright, so unfortunately, after hitting it with a hammer a few times, it's just stuck on. I do not have a new rotor, so I will not be, unfortunately, able to get into what is the parking brake, or the brake shoes in this case. So I'm going to start cleaning everything else. Another thing I noticed is that while the top one is metal and looks like it has some sort of rubber cap. The bottom one, although it is metal right here, seems to be kind of like a rubber boot that goes all the way through. I'm gonna try to see, but honestly, with the age of this rubber, I don't think I'm gonna be able to slide it out. So I'm gonna clean the top, obviously the bolt holes inside of here, clean all this hardware off, and then reassemble the caliper. So I'm gonna test fit a size here from the engine cleaning kit. Nope. Next step up. Yes. All right. So on mine, I do have this little like quick release. I can just clip them in and make it work. Now we'll fill that area with brake cleaner. Break apart the grease. Alright, so that takes care of that. Alright, so now this one, unfortunately, because it is completely rubber, I can still clean it and break apart all the old material. However, I'm going to be using a small plastic guide. Yeah, and I can place that in by hand. So we'll get that. I'll do the same thing. Fill this. Alright, so now that we got that full of brake cleaner, so plastic is cleared out. Ooh, straw. So on this one, I'm gonna have to end up using the straw to make sure I can blast out all of the debris from inside of this. Alright. So now we'll let that dry out, and yeah, nice and clean, no old grease in there. Now we can possibly clean out this little boot right here. I'm gonna add some brake cleaner. Now, it doesn't seem like that had much grease in it. Alright, clean that off for use later. Now, the caliper, I need to test fit sizes as well. So what I look for is one that's just easy enough to thread in with slight pressure, nothing too crazy. That way it can at least get in there. I also tend to use brass for these. I don't want to use steel. Steel is a little bit more aggressive, and I don't want to damage any threads. So you guys may notice that as I spin the drill, it kind of goes forward. For for whatever reason, looks like these little metal pieces are actually grabbing onto inside the threads, and it kind of just naturally pulls the drill forward. So I just kind of let it run through, and just pull it back. There's that one. Alright, so those. Now that I sent the wire brush through those, I will be spraying these with brake cleaner, as those have been used in other locations that do contain grease. Alright, so there's that. Now, it's an interesting color change on part of the rotor. I'm not sure why it does that. Now, on the back half, normally we'd be able to spin the differential. Unfortunately, one tire is on the ground, the vehicle is in park, and this is all-wheel drive. So, unfortunately, I won't be able to spin the rotor to clear off the back. I haven't touched the back, so hopefully everything's good there. As far as the rest of the equipment, these clips I'll just end up cleaning off with the little wire brush by hand, which, as you can see, they clean off pretty well. So I'm going to clean all these little clips off. Once I finish cleaning the clips and hand brushing all these bolts, I will be back. Alright, so one thing to note, while I do use brass, which is softer on threads, on the tops of bolts and solids like the washers and stuff like that, I do use a steel brush. They're a little bit more aggressive, and they will clean everything off a little bit easier by hand because they are more aggressive. So yeah, that's the thing. Alright, so we were able to get everything cleaned up and all the little clips cleaned off as well. So now I'm going to add the silicone lubricant. So for this one, there is a boot, and it does maintain the grease. So I guess that's kind of like a pressure relief. So means I'm going to have to make sure that the actual component has the proper amount of grease. That can be removed. So that one now has the proper lubricant and slides freely. This little boot goes around here. However, I think once I place this here, yeah, that's gonna clean off all the lubricant. So I'm gonna have to take this off, slide this on, yep. I'll take all this extra lubricant off and replace it back on there. And there we go. All right. So now we got to get the other one. Seems like there's excess grease in there. So I'm going to find a tiny little needle and poke a hole right in the bottom, so that all that air and excess grease can come out, and I'll clean it off. Alright, I'll be right back. So we're back, and I was able to clean off all the grease, and it now moves a lot more freely. So since that didn't come off, actually there is one thing I did completely forget. The bolt holes for here, which have corrosion. So actually I'm going to do that now. And the outer half, that'll work for the outer half. Maybe this size I get lucky and it's straight through. Yep. Way better. Alright, it actually cleaned it out, and I guess I got lucky, no debris on the grease, so let's clear that out and dry that. Alright, so now we can place this on. So lock washers and bolts. Alright, and now the bottom bolt. There we go. There's a 17. Alright, that can just come with it. Okay. There we go. This will be placed here. And now to tighten this bottom one. Alright, so now that those are in, the clip will go here. There we go. So, for some reason mine gets stuck, so I have to kind of guide this top end piece first, and then slide the two bottom pieces in. So now the outer brake pad does take a little bit of effort, and there we go. And then the rear brake pad, and there we go. Alright, so those are in. Now let me see if we get lucky and this slides over nicely. It does. So this will have to be removed and placed on here. There we go. Oh. Okay. There's that one. And the bottom one. Oh, the boot is a little sideways. There we go. Perfect. So now I will tighten these down. That's right, the bottom one used 14, which is right here. And once I get everything tightened down, I will be back. Alright, so we got all the caliper tightened up. These boots do tend to slide inward. Please make sure you push them so that they seal up against the actual caliper bolts so that no debris goes in there. So we're done with this side. I'm going to place the tire back on and drop the vehicle. I'm going to do the passenger side. If there is anything different, I will let you know. If not, that's it. We're complete on the caliper maintenance for the rear of the Stagea.